Welcome back to the deep dive. You give us your sources, all your research, your notes, and we dive in together, try to unpack the key insights.
Yeah, exactly.
And today, wow, we've got a really fascinating stack of material you've put together. It's all about African cultures, their, incredible history, and what that can teach us about leadership.
That's the mission, basically, to sift through all these articles, the research, your notes, and really pull out the core wisdom, the nuggets, you could say,
Hmm.
specifically about African perspectives on leadership
All right.
from like ancient times right up to today.
It sounds like quite a journey across a continent that's just unbelievably diverse. We'll touch on historical empires, look at some powerful leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and really try to focus on those sort of foundational principles.
Mm-hmm.
Things like community, wisdom, resilience, that kind of thing.
And what's really striking, and it comes through in your sources, is how relevant these deep-rooted ideas actually are for you as a leader today. It doesn't matter the context.
Okay, let's dive in then. I mean, to even start talking about leadership in Africa, we have to get our heads around the sheer scale, the diversity, right?
Absolutely.
Your sources really hammer this home right away. 54 countries, over 1,500 languages. It's not one single story, is it?
Not at all. It's a mosaic. You've got West, East, North, Central, Southern Africa, all with different landscapes, different cultures.
And that diversity is crucial, isn't it?
It's fundamental. The material makes it clear that culture isn't just, wallpaper. It actively shapes leadership styles.
How so?
Well, it influences what's valued in a leader, how decisions get made, what the community expects, all of that.
But even with all that variety, there seems to be this common thread. Something about interconnectedness, community. It keeps popping up.
Precisely. That's a huge theme. Leadership is often seen less as this, like
Yeah.
individual pursuit of power, and more as a collective thing, a responsibility.
Serving the group.
Serving the group, exactly. Prioritizing the community's well-being. That communal aspect is, well, it's pretty defining in many contexts.
And this way of thinking, it goes way back, doesn't it? Deep history.
Oh, absolutely. Your sources remind us Africa is the cradle of humanity. It's seen some of the world's oldest, most influential civilizations rise and fall.
Yeah, chapter 2 dives into some amazing examples. Ancient Egypt.
Right, you've got figures like Narmer unifying the kingdom, Hatshepsut, who was just incredible with trade and diplomacy.
A female pharaoh breaking ground.
Totally. And Ramses II, known for military might, sure, but also a skilled diplomat. Signed the Treaty of Kadesh, one of the earliest peace treaties we know of. Really sophisticated stuff.
And then West Africa. Those huge empires. Ghana, Mali.
Founded by Sundiata Keita.
Right. And Songhai under Askia Muhammad. They controlled the gold and salt trade. Massive wealth.
And cities like Timbuktu weren't just trade posts. They were huge centers of learning, scholarship.
Mansa Musa's pilgrimage really put Mali on the map, didn't it? Showing off that wealth and influence.
Definitely an exercise in statecraft, yeah. Then you look east, you've got Aksum.
A major trading power.
Yes. Huge, linking the Mediterranean and India, and King Azana adopting Christianity, a big shift, plus the Swahili city-states along the coast.
Ah, that blend of cultures.
Yeah, African, Arab, Persian, thriving on Indian Ocean trade, really unique.
And we shouldn't forget Central and Southern Africa, the Kingdom of Benin, those famous bronzes.
Incredible art and architecture speaks to a really organized, powerful state. Or Great Zimbabwe.
Their stone structures. Amazing.
Testament to a complex society, a major trade hub. So you see these incredibly sophisticated societies developing complex governance, often reflecting their own unique values.
Before facing major external forces,
Exactly. Forces that had a huge impact.
like the spread of Islam, which your sources seem to cover pretty neutrally.
Yes, the material notes how Islam integrated into many regions. It influenced politics, law, scholarship. Arabic became a key language for that and definitely shaped trade networks across the Sahara, down the East Coast.
And then, the Atlantic slave trade.
Yeah. The sources are clear about the just devastating consequences.
Yeah. It wasn't just the loss of people, was it?
No, it completely destabilized societies. It warped economies, shifting focus from producing goods to capturing people. Massive demographic loss, obviously, but also deep mistrust, political instability.
And the echoes of that are still felt today, right?
Absolutely. Understanding that trauma is vital context for the challenges leaders face in many parts of Africa now.
Okay, so that historical grounding is really important. But let's maybe pivot now to the enduring principles, the philosophies that come out of these cultures about how leadership actually works. This is part 2 of your sources, right?
Right. Moving beyond just the structures, we see this recurring idea that leadership is often kind of distributed, embedded in the community.
At least top down.
Yeah, more emphasis on consulting people, making decisions together.
One thing that really jumps out is the respect for elders.
Oh, definitely. Chapter 1 of Part 2 really digs into this. Elders aren't just old, they're seen as, like, living libraries.
Keepers of wisdom.
Keepers of wisdom, history, community values, exactly. They play this crucial role in guiding decisions, settling disputes, passing knowledge down, often through stories, proverbs, those kinds of things.
So if you're listening, what can you learn from that? It's more than just ask for advice, isn't it?
It really is. It's about recognizing that deep insight often comes from lived experience. It's about having the patience to actually listen and seeing leadership as this continuous learning process, connecting past, present, future by valuing what different generations know.
Leadership is stewardship of wisdom. I like that.
Yeah.
And that ties right into the next big idea, communal leadership.
The power of we, as Chapter 3 calls it.
Exactly. It's all about participation, trying to build consensus, not just have a vote and half the people are unhappy.
Accountability, too.
Big time. Accountability back to the community. Leaders are often expected to be facilitators, mediators. Their job is social cohesion, harmony.
And dealing with conflict. Yeah, the focus is often on dialogue, reconciliation, fixing relationships, not just judging right and wrong. It reinforces those community bonds.
So for you listening, the takeaway is leadership isn't just about the decision, it's the how.
Absolutely. How you involve people, how you build that buy-in. Your legitimacy, in this view, really flows from the collective. It's constant engagement.
Okay, let's talk DEI. Diversity, equity, inclusion. It's a big topic in leadership circles now. But your sources suggest it's not a new concept in many African contexts.
Right. Chapter 4 makes a really interesting point here. It argues that DEI isn't some modern add-on. It's often integral to how these societies function.
How so with diversity?
Yeah.
We talked about the huge diversity earlier.
Well, navigating that diversity, different ethnic groups, languages, religions, was a core leadership skill. Good leaders fostered cultural pluralism, tried to make sure different groups felt included in decision-making. It was seen as a source of strength, even if challenging.
Equity, fairness.
Yeah, fairness, justice, making sure resources and opportunities were shared equitably. Leaders were expected to be impartial, to look out for vulnerable groups, women, youth, minorities maybe?
Making sure their voices were heard.
Crucial for legitimacy. If people don't feel the system is fair, it undermines cohesion.
And inclusion, bringing it all together.
It's about unity, solidarity, but while respecting different identities. Leaders had to actively create environments where everyone felt they belonged, could contribute. Dialogue was key. And the sources mentioned specific examples like promoting gender inclusivity or integrating different groups into governance.
So what's the lesson for you here? It's not just ticking boxes, is it?
Not at all. It's about building a foundation where diversity is the norm, equity is the standard, and inclusion is, well, it's just how things are. It's baked in, not sprinkled on top. That's what makes the whole thing stronger.
A really powerful way to think about it. Okay, another concept that comes up, especially from Southern Africa, Ubuntu.
Ah, Ubuntu, yeah.
I am because we are. Many people have heard the phrase.
But it's so much deeper than just a nice saying. It's this profound philosophy about our fundamental interconnectedness, compassion, empathy, mutual support. It's all tied up in the well-being of the community.
It sounds like it has implications beyond just personal relationships.
Absolutely. It's seen as a potential blueprint for global cooperation. And interestingly, your sources even mention Ubuntu entrepreneurship.
Really? How does that work?
It's applying these principles to business. So focusing on social impact, environmental sustainability, really getting involved with the community, mentoring people. Profit is part of it, sure, but it's not the only goal or even the main one.
So for you, what's the takeaway from Ubuntu?
It's maybe about shifting focus from just me to we, recognizing your success is tied to others, leading with empathy, fostering real collaboration, building relationships on shared humanity.
That feels very relevant today.
I think so. And that leads us to another key theme, resilience.
Which makes a lot of sense, given the history, the challenges we touched on earlier.
Exactly. Resilience here isn't just about bouncing back. It's about adapting, persevering through incredible hardship. And it's nurtured by those strong community bonds, that social cohesion we keep talking about.
What's the leader's role in fostering resilience?
They play a huge part by fostering hope, mobilizing resources, reminding people of their shared strengths, their history of overcoming things.
And the sources also link resilience to personal growth.
Yeah, the idea that facing adversity and getting through it builds strength, empowers people, often helped along by education, mentorship, that kind of support.
So leadership is also about enabling people to endure and eventually, hopefully, thrive.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, this is great. We've covered the context, these really powerful core principles. Let's make it even more concrete now. Can we look at some specific cultures from part 3 of your material, see how these ideas actually play out?
Yeah, absolutely. The sources give us some really interesting examples. Let's take the Igbo culture in Nigeria.
Okay, Igbo, often known for being quite decentralized, right?
Yeah.
Maybe more Republican in their traditional structures.
Exactly that. Leadership wasn't always about strict hierarchy or birthright. It was often earned, based on merit, competence, wisdom, integrity, fairness.
And you had to prove yourself.
Pretty much. And there's a strong value placed on innovation, on entrepreneurial spirit. Community engagement was vital. Lots of decisions made in town halls, councils, getting broad input.
So what can a leader today, anywhere, learn from the Igbo example?
Maybe that legitimacy comes from character and competence, not just your title. The power of genuine participation.
Yeah.
And creating an environment where people feel empowered to take initiative, to innovate, not just waiting for orders from the top.
Interesting. Okay, another one. How about the Zulu culture, South Africa?
Zulu,
Yeah.
often associated with maybe strength, unity. Figures like Shaka come to mind.
Right, military prowess.
Yeah. Yes, but there's more to it. Traditional Zulu leadership, under the Inkosai, the chief or king, also put a huge emphasis on community harmony, resilience. Leaders needed courage and wisdom, definitely, but also skills in mediating conflict, building consensus.
And storytelling.
Crucial. Oral traditions, stories, they were key for reinforcing identity, passing down history, embedding those shared values.
So for you, the lesson there might be about the power of shared identity, how a leader acts as a cultural steward, and the importance of communication not just for information, but for inspiration, connection.
Yeah, using narrative to unite people.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Okay, one more, the Bamileke in Cameroon.
Ah, the Bamileke. Interesting mix there. Your sources describe them as blending tradition with a really strong entrepreneurial drive.
So how does that affect leadership?
Well, you often have traditional chiefs, hereditary roles, but alongside that, individuals who achieve economic success and crucially reinvest in the community, they gain significant influence.
So status through contribution.
Exactly. Decision-making still values consensus, consulting elders, key community figures, and leaders are expected to show humility, integrity, commitment to the collective good, but also resourcefulness, innovation.
What's the takeaway for you there? Maybe something about adaptive leadership.
I think so. Blending the old and the new. Finding ways to respect tradition while embracing innovation and economic realities. And it shows leadership can come from different places, not just formal authority, but also through contributing to the community's prosperity.
Makes sense. And the sources briefly mention others too, right? Ashanti, Amhara, Pil, each adding another facet.
Yeah, like the Ashanti focus on consensus, symbolized by the golden stool. The Amhara linking governance and morality, often through the church. The Pil, with their adaptability from nomadic life and Islamic influence. Each adds a layer, shows the diversity again.
So we have these deep historical roots, these cultural principles. How does this connect to modern African leadership? Your sources look at that too, don't they? Leaders dealing with post-colonial realities.
They do. They look at figures who've had to navigate these immense complexities, often trying to balance traditional values with very contemporary global challenges.
Like Nelson Mandela, obviously.
A global icon, right.
Yeah.
Humility, reconciliation. His moral authority was immense, used to unite a profoundly divided nation.
Then someone like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana.
Yeah, charismatic, major voice for Pan-Africanism, pushing for modernization. Though, as your sources note neutrally, that path also had its complexities, sometimes involving, centralizing power.
Important to see the whole picture.
Always. Then there's Julius Nyerere in Tanzania. Mwalimu, the teacher.
His vision of Ujamaa.
Exactly, familyhood,
Huh.
emphasizing communal living, self-reliance. It faced real economic challenges in practice, but his ethical stance, voluntarily stepping down from power, that sent a powerful message.
It's not just political leaders, is it?
Yeah.
The sources highlight leaders in business, philanthropy.
Absolutely. People like Mo Ibrahim really pushing for good governance, ethical business. The Ibrahim Prize is a testament to that.
Aliko Dangote.
Huge industrialist, yeah, but his work also involves significant corporate social responsibility. Then Tony Alumelu talking about and practicing
What
Africapitalism.
was that exactly?
It's this idea of Africans making long-term investments in Africa, focusing on empowering young entrepreneurs, creating economic value and social wealth, a holistic view.
And women leaders, too.
Definitely. Folorinso Alakija is mentioned, highlighting resilience, empowering women, and Patrice Motsepe in South Africa, linking business success with community development, Black economic empowerment.
So these modern examples show the principles aren't just history.
Not at all. They show these ideas community, collective good, resilience, innovation are alive, being actively applied, adapted, shaping leadership right now across different fields.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has really, I think, shown the incredible depth and just the range of insights we can get from looking at African cultures and history through this lens of leadership.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey through the material. We've touched on that fundamental role of community, the value placed on elder wisdom, the power of deciding things together.
How DEI isn't always an add-on, but can be woven right in.
Exactly. And the philosophy of Ubuntu, that profound interconnectedness, plus resilience, that enduring strength. And seeing it all come alive in specific cultures and modern leaders.
It really feels like understanding this heritage offers some truly valuable insights for you, the listener, no matter what kind of leader you are or aspire to be. It challenges assumptions, offers different ways of thinking.
Definitely. Which brings us to maybe a final thought, something to mull over, drawn from these core ideas in your sources.
Go for it.
Well, consider this. We live in a world that often really emphasizes, individual achievement, competition, sink or swim.
Right.
So how might things change if we intentionally embrace that African emphasis on interconnectedness, that core truth of Ubuntu, I am because we are? What if we really took that to heart in how we lead?
How might that reshape things?
Yeah. What if integrating principles like Ubuntu, genuinely prioritizing collective well-being? What if that isn't just, a nice ethical stance, but actually a necessary strategy for tackling the huge, complex global challenges we're all facing? Could it help foster a more inclusive, more compassionate, maybe ultimately a more resilient world?
A powerful question to end on. What lessons from Africa's rich past hold the keys to leadership not just there, but for all of us in our shared global future? Something to definitely think about.